Hello everyone, how's it going? This is Alpha Core HD Gaming and here we are for another episode of My Team Career Mode in F1 2021. We're in Baku for episode 4. If you're new to the channel or you haven't seen the previous episodes, be sure to go back and give them a look just to kind of catch up on where we're at with the series. But at the moment we're just, as you can see, in the headquarters of the team, and we're going to go through a few things like sponsorship, like upgrades for the car and for the facilities, and just things that have happened between the end of last race and the start of the next race. So we're looking at sponsorship here. We've reached the level of acclaim to actually get a new sponsor on the car. We've been waiting for a while now. We're into race number 4. There are some easy sponsorship goals, which would have been like to answer 2 interview questions. But in terms of money and the weekly income and goal bonus, and a little bit of a challenge, the weekly goal for this one was to out-qualify your rival. A couple of races ago, if you'd asked me if we could do that, I would have said no. But now that the car's improving, I would definitely say it's a bit more challenging, but we can do it. And so we're going to sign with the sponsor Uterp. It's not the most pretty sponsor. As you can see on the car, it doesn't look amazing. And our car still looks a little bit plain, but we're trying to build that sponsorship up, and we've kind of given it a place on the side pods in a red colour to make it stand out a little bit. And we've moved the title sponsorship moon around the car a little bit. So we're going to look at our facilities now, and the first one we're going to look at is chassis. We can see it's spec 0 at the moment. We've got $3.63 million, so we've made a little bit of money up now, and it's about time we start upgrading things. I think chassis is one of the areas where we're the weakest on the car. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to upgrade the fabrication facility, which will allow us to make 2 simultaneous upgrades at once. It'll also move us up to spec 1, I think. And the second one we're going to choose, because we can't afford the other ones at the moment, is going to be the quality control, which will reduce the failure chance of any of our upgrades by 10%. So we're just kind of trying to make our mind up at the moment about which one we're going to choose. I think we do click it, but it's not on this screen, so you'll see it in a later part of the video that we did choose it, and that's the next thing that we upgraded in terms of facilities. And then the next thing we're going to look at is activities for the team. So the first one we've chosen is the funded team home event, which gives 5% morale to every department. The second one we chose was the visit sponsor headquarters, which gave us some team acclaim, I think it was. And the last one's going to be second driver PR filming, which gives us driver acclaim and cash. Next, we're going to order a minor front downforce upgrade, so it's secondary wing flaps we've just ordered there. We're going to advance time a little bit, and you'll see the rear wing upper flap and the ignition system both go on there. Our advisor here is just telling us about the second sponsor opportunity, which we've already done, so he's just telling us we've got enough acclaim to get that second sponsor, but we're already doing that, so that's great. Rear wing upper flap was completed, and diffuser refined straight positions has been unlocked. Gearbox improved materials there, and as you can see, our fabrication and quality control facilities have also been upgraded. And now we've been asked to go to a chassis department meeting, which basically what's happening is they've managed to unlock a 50% discount on the Monaco structure, which is a major upgrade. So I'm just reading the bit at the top right now, and I'm obviously going to agree to this. It's only going to cost me $20,000 in cash, and we're going to go straight to the upgrade screen and order that upgrade straight away, as you can see, and it'll be on the car before is that the French Grand Prix? I didn't see. It's going to be on the car in a few Grand Prix time, and then we're going to order an upgrade on minor tyre wear there. The ignition system's been complete, and something else was unlocked which I didn't even see. So here we are in terms of performance at the moment. We're pretty level with Alpine according to this chart, and also I think Alpha Tauri are in there as well. So I just thought I'd show you this chart and let you know where we are in terms of progress. Obviously by then the Baku will change again, so hopefully we've gone up a little bit more. You can see our line's levelling off a little bit, which is a bit worrying, but hopefully we can get some more upgrades through. Just advancing through the activities there, as you can see what we already had planned. And then we're going to go to the weekend, the race weekend, and just have a few shots of Baku, because why not? I really like to have these shots and just go build the atmosphere of the weekend and kind of have some nice shots to the circuit. There's Lewis looking at some data with his engineer. So we're just in our garage at the moment. Our engineer just mentioning to us that some upgrades have gone on the car as we look through our setup, which is really great news. So hopefully those upgrades are going to help us out. And as you can see, by the end of second practice, we qualified. Well, we didn't qualify. We finished third in second practice. Our teammate down in 18th. I don't expect to be there, obviously, in qualifying, but it was really promising that we were that quick in practice. In practice 3, we just skipped through it because it was a washout. The race wasn't going to be wet, but practice 3 was absolutely so we decided not to bother doing it and just simulate it. We'd already passed all the practice programs anyway. So some usual questions from Claire. We could have chosen any of the answers, but I decided to choose the aero one. Happy with the aero department at the minute, and also the aero on our team, getting those upgrades on is really important. And again, you could have chosen any of these questions, but I decided just to choose the one that affected the departments the least, about data gathering being important. So, you know, it wasn't really the choices weren't really that great. So here we are in qualifying. It looks a little bit overcast to me from these aerial shots. So we'll see how it goes. We're just going to see a little shot of us in the garage putting our helmet on. And we're going to go to our lap in qualifying. So this is the end of lap number 1 in qualifying 1, and you can see it's a 38.93, which isn't good enough. It's not going to get us through to Q2. So what we do is we continue round, and you'll see our delta time at the moment is actually in the negative. You can see it's a plus 1.53, 1.52. So it's negative and we're not making any time. And as I'm going around the lap, I'm a little bit worried that we're not going to make up this time. And that this lap's not going to be good enough and we're going to have to run again. So I was trying to only run on one set of tyres in the first part of qualifying, giving off our practice performance. So you can see we're still down on the delta, 13 minutes to go. Just trying to get through. Our teammate's currently ahead of us. So the first sector was only a tenth quicker than him. It wasn't fantastic, but you can see now that coming through the middle sector, sector 2, we start gaining a little bit of time. We nearly go positive and then we lose a little bit of time in that right hand turn before the castle section. As we come through the castle section and into the final set of corners, you can see we start going positive. So we must have made a mistake on the previous lap or just not being very quick. And now we've gained about 3 tenths and we're now well into the positive, 2 tenths up. And we're absolutely flying around this final section. And we've got a couple of corners to go because the last ones on the straight aren't really corners. So we're now nearly 4 tenths up and we're coming into the final real corner, and we just got to get the power down and make sure we get a nice run to the line. We're nearly half a second up, and we're more than half a second up now. So 1 minute 38.9 was our previous time, and we're now over half a second up, just keeping out of the barrier as we come around that right-hander and heading towards the finish line on the long straight, opening the DRS. It seems like the longest straight ever, and it probably is. As we head down towards the finish line, it's a 1 minute 38.3, which is green in both the middle and the final sectors, which was good enough for 14th place. Not quite good enough to out-qualify Fernando Alonso at this point, but it's good enough to get us through. And our teammate, unfortunately, has been knocked out in Q1, so you can see he's in 19th place. So we just made it through. Giovinazzi, Schumacher, Russell, Mazepin and Latifi all also go out in that session, and Lewis Hamilton tops it. So we've got a load more time to find at the moment. So on to Q2. So our first lap in Q2, heading down to turn 1, down to 4th gear, get turned in nicely on the power. A little bit of a wobble as we put the power down. Heading into turn 2 now. On the power nicely, DRS open, heading down this straight. We've got the car in front of us, so I don't know if that's affecting our cornering speed or anything, but we should at least be getting a bit of a tow from him. Down to the next corner, nicely turned in, 4th gear. It's not a particularly quick lap though, this one, so at the end of the lap you'll see the lap time. We have to go again because it wasn't. I don't think it was going to get us through to Q3. So through the middle sector, this is probably one of my favourite corners here. Nice technical section on the power, heading down towards a tight right hand hairpin coming up now, all the way down to 2nd gear. Probably could take this in first as well, which will give you a bit more extra turning. Then through the traction zone there, a little bit of wheel spin. Through the castle section, just missing those barriers, just feeding the car through it. This is where the AI had a lot of traction, and I think this is a particularly OP track for the AI, especially for the middle sector and especially for the final sector in terms of like how much top speed they have. I don't know what you think about that, but let me know in the comments what you think of the AI on this track. But I do think they're a little bit OP, and we had a lot of work to do throughout the weekend to keep up with them from the middle sector. I think a bit of it was me practicing and working out the time and just working out how much speed we had to take, and a bit of it was just, you know, the AI was just a bit too overpowered, I think. But we did start kind of catching up to them a little bit, but I still think they had an edge through the middle sector. So heading towards the finish line, we're now heading towards the finish line with a 38.1. So 38.183, which is again not good enough to get through. You can see we're currently in 13th, behind both AlphaTauris, but we're ahead of the Alpines. So heading into the next lap, we're nearly a 10th up coming through the first turn. Heading into turn 2, we get nicely slowed down and nicely turned in. We're now gaining time all the way down this straight. We've got a McLaren in front of us, and I think an Alpine behind us and a McLaren behind that, and I think the Mercedes ahead of us. So again, you can see 3 tenths up as we come in that corner. We were a little bit more brave as we took the turn in, took more speed. It's a little bit neater than the last lap. We lost a bit of time though there, so we probably were pretty good through the previous lap. Again, for this technical section, nicely turned in, very close to the barrier, and we get the power down, but we lose a little bit of time. We're still nearly, well, 2.5 tenths up coming into the hairpin. Go a little bit deep, so we have to get the car straightened up. Heading through the castle section now, nice and brave through there. Nice little squirt on the throttle there, and then down to third gear, swinging the front end of the car around there to get it turned in, and round the final set of corners, which is like sort of a curving left-hander sort of thing, and into the tight left-hander down to third gear, just be keeping the car at the wall on the right. We're 4.5 tenths up, so it's a very good lap so far. So out of that final corner, we got a nice exit, so we're still 4.5 tenths up, and just feeding the car through these final 2 corners on a straight there. And now it's just a race to the line to see where we are in this qualifying session. So Sonoda's done a 1:38.021. What can we do? As we approach the line, we do a 1:37.704, which is actually only 1/10 off Bottas, albeit that he used the medium tyres. But we were actually only a tenth off, and we were ahead of a Ferrari on the same tyres. And as you can see, Lance Stroll's got a 5-second penalty, and is that Lando Norris? Did I see there? Yeah, Lando Norris has got a 5-place grid penalty, sorry. So both those guys are going to drop down. So is Fernando, he's got a 5-place position penalty as well. So don't know what they've been up to, but that's 15 places of penalties there for all those drivers. So wherever we qualify in qualifying 3, it looks like we're going to gain some positions. So this is our only attempt in qualifying 3. It's very late in the session. We didn't have any tyres left, so we just wanted to go for one run. And here we are. So into turn 2, nicely turned down. A little bit of understeer, but we finally get the power down the straight. We were being very, very brave on how deep we went into each of these corners, which is where we find the time. You'll also see that short shift from third to fourth gear in some of these corners, which gets us a lot of speed. And fourth gear gives you good traction, so you'll see down to third here, but quickly up to fourth as we're exiting the corner, just to get that traction. And then come into the next corner, all the way down to third. You want to hook that inside, straighten up this next corner, and get on the power as soon as you can, really, to get a good exit so you can gain some time. You want to make sure you compromise your entrance to this one again so you can get a good exit, because it's another short straight, and you want to be very brave through here. Fling it in as much speed as you can, give a squirt of the throttle, then back to the right, swing to the left, and then get your power down as quickly as you can, because it's another sort of straight. There's a sort of bending corner, and as you come towards this final corner, you want to brake quite early, all the way down to third, turn in up to fourth as you get the exit. Again, full throttle down to third for this corner, third or fourth I think it is, then turn in as you get on that curve on the exit. Just get the power down as quickly as you can, be careful of wheel spin, and then it's just a case now of feeding the car through these two curves and then onto the main straight, and that's your lap. So we're heading towards the finish line. Perez has done a 1:37.2. We've got 2 Ferraris currently ahead of us and Stroll, so we're heading towards the line. What have we got? It's a 37.4, so 1:37.445, which is actually good enough for 8th place. And it was only a fraction slower than Lance Stroll here, so you can see Lance Stroll did a 1:37.423, we did a 1:37.445, and we were very, very close to beating Lance, but I think he's already got a penalty anyway, so we're going to get promoted up the grid a little bit. I think Lando Norris and Lance have both got penalties, so that's going to promote us up to 6th place at the start of the race. Again, I don't expect us to stay there. 8th place is about our limit, and you can see that's the rivalry breakdown there with Fernando Alonso. Again, we both completed qualifying, we out-qualified him, and we get 1200 acclaim, so I think we massively out-qualified him as well. So team acclaim, obviously our teammate went out in Q1, and you see there we've got a bit of a claim for us, a bit of a claim for the team there. So we're on level 4, Nobuharu's on level 6, and the team's on level 6, so we're catching up to Nobuharu really a little bit.
Alright, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good
I think it was a great qualifying engineer. It was an absolutely fantastic qualifying to be in 8th place in the car that we've currently got. And he's also promised me a cookie there, as you can see. If we beat Nobuharu by more than a minute, my engineer Jeff has promised me a cookie. So we'll see how that one goes during the race.
Welcome to Baku. This was the arena if you think back to 2017.
So here we are just with the opening shots of Baku. I'll let Crofty introduce this to you, and I think Anthony Davidson might have something to say, but I'll let them introduce.
A historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
I'll say this now, Anthony Davidson is right about this tyre strategy. It does play a big part in this race, so just look out for that as the race goes on. There's the grid, obviously Bottas, Hamilton, then Ricciardo and McLaren, so the McLarens are pretty quick around in them, both the Red Bulls, then us, and then Leclerc, and then Sainz. Obviously I think Norris was higher up the grid, so the McLarens were both very fast, and Vettel, Gasly, Stroll, then Tsunoda, Ocon, Alonso's going to be right near the back, isn't he? Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Mick, our teammate, Russell, Alonso in 20th, so our rival in 20th place, then Mazepin and Latifi.
It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Here we go. So we're on the grid.
After the points finish last
and yes, we need to get some more points, engineer. I definitely agree with you. You can see the tyre strategy there. We're going to put a little bit more fuel in because I don't want to be running out of fuel or fuel saving. We can't afford to. You can see we're going to have soft and then medium. Here's the setup. Just obviously pause if you want to have a look at that and use that for your own career modes or races. There it is. Just going to scroll through it a couple of times for you. Just pause if you want to see that. So we're about to go to the grid very shortly. So 1 light, 2 light, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5 lights. We've got the revs up and we're away. So we make a pretty decent start. Not as good as the last race. We're going to have to defend a little bit. You can see Leclerc's on the outside of us, and as we're coming down to turn 2, I think Leclerc just about, see there, he touches our rear wheel, which actually has damaged his front wing. So as the lap goes on, you'll see how that plays out. But it was a pretty decent start from us. We held our position. I don't think we're going to be able to challenge these. The Red Bulls already guys ahead of us. I didn't expect to be able to. So as we go around this lap, we're just going to try and keep up with them and see how we get on for the first lap, and then go from there. So heading around these tight turns, you can see Verstappen and Perez ahead of us, both battling. And Leclerc, because of his front wing damage, has already started to form a train behind him. So we're making a little bit of a gap. So at this point, I was thinking, happy days, we've got a little bit of a good start here. Leclerc's managed to damage his front wing. We'll have a look at that in a moment because it's worth having a look at the start. So we're up to behind Perez and Verstappen at the moment, just heading for the castle section. And you can see the gap to Leclerc already is 2 seconds, so I was happy for that to happen and just try and build up a gap. And I was expecting anybody behind him to kind of get past him on the next straight. So we're heading down through this section now, and you can see the gap is just opening up. It doesn't look like Leclerc's got any front downforce at all. So we're just clinging on to the back of Perez at the minute. And as we head into the final corner, you can see there's a yellow flag happening in the corner behind us, and also Lando Norris is out of the session, and VSC has been called. But then immediately after that, it gets turned into a safety car. So we haven't had a safety car all season, and then suddenly in the first lap of this race, we've now got a safety car. So it's going to throw this race on its head completely, and it's going to mess our strategy up and other people as well. So you can see from the start here, Leclerc trying to hang it around the outside. I think we moved slightly to the right, but Leclerc also moves to the left from away from the wall. So if we slow that down again, have a look at that. Let me know who you think was at fault, but I think we were both a little bit at fault. But what happened was Leclerc moved across, I moved across, and we ended up hitting each other. And Leclerc actually hit the wall and damaged his front wing. So on board with Lando Norris, you can see he's stuck up behind Leclerc, who smashes into that wall on the right. And as Lando Norris tries to make the move, it's like, no thank you, Lando, and you're absolutely, that's his race over. He's wrecked. So Leclerc smashes him into the wall, and this is the onboard from Leclerc. You can see hits the wall on the right. He's got Lando Norris now coming to his right. He just blocks the brakes and understays in the wall and just takes Lando out. So that's Lando's race over, and Leclerc's now got no front wing. And you can see we'll just have one more angle of this to see just how bad this was. So, smash, there you go. And the other Ferrari behind also got wing damage as well, and one of the Alpines hit the Ferrari too. So Leclerc has to pit in, which actually is going to end up being a very good thing for him that the safety car was called, and also he gets new tyres, fresh tyres, and he doesn't lose out too much because he gets to go to the back of the queue with a new set of tyres and a new front wing. So he could have been out of the race with that crash, but he was very fortunate. So coming on to the safety car restart, we're trying to push our luck a little bit. You can see Perez is here, and we're just trying to keep alongside him. And now the green flag's going to go, and we're right alongside him, just trying to use Verstappen. And as we come into turn 1, Verstappen brakes early, so we have to brake very late and avoid him. And we go a little bit deep, so Verstappen gets the cut back on us. We're ahead of Perez. We're now behind Verstappen, so we're just going to have to sit behind him, because again I don't think we're going to have the pace to get past him. So a replay of what happened here, just coming down the main straight, you can see safety car going in, we're alongside Perez, we try to outbrake him, but because Verstappen brakes so early, we have to avoid him and end up going deep. We probably could have taken the position off Verstappen if we hadn't made that mistake, and we would have had Verstappen behind us as well. But again, the Red Bulls are very quick, so I don't think we keep us behind them, and by lap 6 you can see we just haven't got any ERS left, and Perez goes flying past us as we're approaching the pit window. So I think one of the things the AI have over us at the minute is their ERS systems are, or I don't know, this is just their drag or their top line speed, but we're having to use a lot of ERS just to keep up with them down straights. We tried here, as you can see, to try and get Perez back, but the gap just got too tight, and Perez wasn't going to leave us any space. He shut the door anyway, so we just backed out of it and thought if we went into that position there and tried to go into that move, we would end up in a big crash and, you know, possibly losing our front wing and ruining our own race. So going on to lap 7, we're starting to lose a little bit of grip on the tyres now, and we're just trying to keep up with Perez. You can see that even as we go on the straight with Perez's slipstream and our DRS, Gasly tries to make a move and we shut the door on him, getting a little bit feisty, trying to keep Gasly behind us. A replay of what happened there, you can see that Gasly was up our inside, but we braked a little bit later and just swung it around the outside, and Gasly had to get his nose out of there just to avoid getting any damage from us. A little bit feisty on our part, trying to keep that position. So in for the first pit stop, we're on to our first set of medium tyres. The soft tyres were absolutely garbage, I'll say that now. So 2.1 second pit stop, out we come in the pit lane now. But yeah, I wanted to get off those soft tyres as quickly as possible. Having the safety car was actually probably a godsend, because it allowed us to get off those soft tyres and by lap 8, but also it saved a bit of tyre wear being behind the safety car for a few laps. By about lap 8, the tyre wear on those tyres was ridiculous. It was like 50%. So, and it was all on the rears. The fronts basically were okay, but the rears, where the traction was, we were losing out massively by lap 8. So you can see that we passed Latifi, and now we put some pressure on Mazepin. We're trying to get a move on now, because we can see Perez just ahead of us. Because of our pit stop, we did a bit of an undercut, and we just slide at the inside of Mazepin there and take that position. We're just trying at this point to keep Perez in our sights, and we're coming down the main straight now behind Schumacher, who I think is going to pit. So DRS open, using the rest of our ERS, trying to get past him. At the minute, you see, we're just coming past the pit lane, and a few cars are in there, including Ocon, and I think one of the AlphaTauris, and does that look like a Sauber there as well, an Alfa Romeo, sorry. So we're heading down into turn 2, and you can see we're pulling out time on Schumacher, and Gasly's really our main rival in this race. As I was saying earlier in the race, the strategy from the Ferraris, because they had to both pit early on, they're on an alternate strategy to us. So I think their tyres are going to be older as the race goes on, but they've got the track position at the moment. We've got Gasly currently 4 seconds behind us, but we're closing in on Sainz at a rate of knots, to be honest. We've got really good pace, because I think their tyres are older, obviously, because they pitted on lap number 1 for new tyres, and our tyres are only 10 laps old. So Alonso's got an issue, which is great for us as our championship rival. Hopefully he can finish the race, but at the moment he's got a little bit of an issue, so it's going to be falling back a bit. You can see Sainz now 3.2 ahead, and we're catching up to him. Bottas does the fastest lap, 1 minute 40.5. So you'll see by I think the end of this lap or the next lap how much we caught Sainz. We're absolutely flying at this point of the race. See there, 27% tyre wear on the rear right, which
Pushing, you're gaining on the car ahead.
and our engineer just giving us some encouragement there as we're catching up to Sainz, down to 2.7 now by lap 24. We get the gap down to 1.2 seconds to Sainz. We've got Vettel, who's again on an alternate strategy to us, 1.1 seconds behind. But as we come through this next section, you're going to hear some very bad news.
Okay, there appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
So we've got an issue, and we haven't been told at this point what it is, and I'm hoping it's not terminal. And as we come into the final corner, we're going to get confirmation of what the issue is in a moment.
We can confirm that it's an issue with our engine.
So the engine has an issue. It doesn't look at this moment in time like it's terminal. They haven't told us that, but you can see how quickly Vettel is now catching us from being 1.2 back. We're topping out at 310 kph, even with ERS, and we've got absolutely nothing to defend Vettel with. And from being right behind Sainz, we've now lost so much time. You see there, 1.3 seconds by the end of that lap we were behind, and I think it's more like 2 seconds we lose, which we're now under pressure from Gasly as well. So the engine issue, thankfully it's not terminal, but it's allowed Gasly to close up, which makes the race completely different. By lap 26, the engine issue's actually resolved itself, so it's gone away. We haven't had any update from the engineer, but we've been told that the issue, we haven't been told anything, but we can just tell that the issue's gone. Brake very late there, just inches away from Sainz's rear gearbox there. And we're now, by lap 27, all over the back of Sainz, so again I think it's going to pit. But we could have been on him 3-4 laps earlier without the engine issue. So it's probably going to affect the outcome at the end of the race as well. So just remember that as we get towards the end of the race, what happened with that engine issue, because it does play a part as well.
No issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
So there's no issues with the tyre wear, that's fantastic. The tyres are good. We're due a pit stop soon, but you can see Gasly, because he closed on the back of us, has overtaken us. So we're in a little bit of a battle with Gasly at the moment. Leclerc has just set a fastest lap of the race, so he's absolutely flying behind us. We're just trying at the moment to stick with Gasly and hopefully keeping his DRS.
Resulting in loose debris.
So there's been
the marshals have managed to clear it up in time.
So there's been an incident, but there's not going to be a safety car, not another safety car in the race. So you can see as we are now approaching the end of lap 29, it's lap 30. It's our pit lap, and we're right up behind Gasly still. So we're still in a good position, and we're coming to the pit lane now for our second set of mediums, second set of new mediums. Quite a slow pit stop, 2.6 seconds, so it could have been quicker. We come out of the pit lane just ahead of Raikkonen and behind the two Ferraris. Get a little bit of a warning there for crossing the white line, so we're not going to worry about that too much. As we come down the main straight, you can see Gasly is leaving the pit lane. So remember, he was behind us, he was ahead of us just before we pitted. We've done the undercut and we've got ahead of him. So our teammates now pitting in, and we're ahead of Gasly on lap 32. So Gasly immediately wasn't happy about being passed. He took the position back, even though we set our fastest lap of the race on a 1:40.9. Gasly was quicker with a DRS, so he managed to get past us. So same strategy again. We're going to try and sit behind Gasly.
26.9 seconds.
So I think our teammate there was 26 seconds behind or something. So we have a look at making the move, but Gasly makes a move in the braking zone and moves to the right, which means we have to back out and slow right down. I wasn't particularly happy about the way he moved there, but we couldn't do anything about it. We managed to sit behind him for a bit longer. So Kimi Raikkonen is out of the session. And you'll see the replay now here. An engine blown, so fortunately our engine hasn't gone yet, but the Alfa Romeo engine has given up the ghost. That Ferrari engine, I think it's the back of that, has gone. So that's Kimi out of the session. No safety car, no virtual safety cars, just a retirement for the Alfa Romeo. And on the very next lap, I think it was, in quick succession, another Ferrari engine goes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they are both Ferraris. The Haas engine goes, and Mick Schumacher is out of the race as well. So he pulls up there in the escape road. So you can see on lap 36 we are actually catching up to the back of Gasly very quickly. We're only half a second back. We again don't have much ERS left, but at this point I'm thinking it's now or never. We can't let Gasly get away. We've got to put a fight up, and we just open the DRS. We go for all deployment of ERS, and we're flying up behind Gasly. We're going to swing around the outside. Again, he makes a little bit of a shuffle as we come towards the braking zone, trying to scare us a little bit. we just swing the car around the outside, and here's a replay of the move as we just take the position. You see there, it's a bit of a wobble. I don't know what he's doing, but again, we make it up to him to back out, and we're back up to 9th place. So another retirement, this time a Honda engine, so it's the Sergio Perez who's out, and you'll see up ahead there's a yellow flag in the next set of corners, and he's just pulled over down the safety road, the escape road to the left, sorry. There he is parked up, and we've got Gasly all over our gearbox at the moment, still half a second back.
Gap to car in front is 5.9 seconds.
So 5.9 to Sainz ahead. Just a replay here of Perez retiring again. Looks like another engine blowout in the same place that Raikkonen's engine blew up. So you can see there, I think that was Vettel going past him, taking the position. Perez just parking up again. No safety car, no virtual safety car. Just straight retirement. So lap 40, you can see Gasly comes again at us round the outside. There's no point in defending it. He's just got too much speed. So again, the plan is just to sit behind him. And on lap 41, we attack again and take the position back in the same way as before. Just swinging around the outside. And we're back up into 7th place at the moment. Unfortunately though, we've got Vettel on the alternate strategy with his very fast Aston Martin. Just absolutely blast past us with the soft tyres on. And so we're down to 8th place now. And again, we've got nothing we could do about that. We just had no energy left. And it was only a matter of time before Vettel took us. So,
okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember, we need to get
so my goal right now was just to keep ahead of Gasly, because he was the one we've been battling all race. You can see we've got a big gap to Alonso, and try and catch Sainz. So around about lap 47 here we are. You can see we got the gap down to 2.5. Lap 48 was down to 1.5.
Car in front, but we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
Our engineer constantly cautioning us on the tyre usage. Down to 1.1 seconds on lap 51, but it's just too little too late. We just a couple of extra laps we probably would have had him, but on the final lap Sainz has turned his engine up, I believe, and he just starts to pull away again. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton wins the race. We've dropped back to 1.5 back from Sainz. We just can't keep up with him at the moment at this final lap. And you see we're going around this corner, you can see Lewis coming around the final couple of bends, followed to the finish line by Valtteri Bottas just behind him. So the McLarens were leading early on, Ricciardo was leading early on, but Lewis takes the victory in Baku. I think that's his first victory of the season, so we'll have to have a look at that next race and see where he's actually see where he is in terms of wins. But here we go, across the line, finishing 8th place, which I think was another great result for us, to be honest, considering our actual pace. And our teammate, even though he finished way behind us, still finished, I think, just outside the points, I think in 11 or 12. Fernando Alonso gets driver of the day. I don't know what he's done to get driver of the day, but he's got it.
Yes, another historic win under their belt.
And so Mercedes take another win this season.
Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible
There's
result?
Lewis and Valtteri. I can't remember who finished third. We'll have a look in a moment. Was it Max? I think Max might have finished third.
That situation in a good position.
So we're going to see the podium any second.
So after a magnificent race,
who was
we
it?
can now see the drivers
Yeah, it was
making their way
Max.
to
So
the podium.
Lewis,
Once
Valtteri
again,
and
it's
Max
the
on the
Silver
podium.
Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So yeah, great result for us. I think 8th place was probably the limit we could have got out of the car. I don't think we were ever going to finish ahead of the Ferraris. That we were just lucky that we had a shot at them because of their extra strategy, their alternate strategy, because the first lap safety car crash. So that's the only reason we were in a race with them.
Let's see how the driver standings have changed.
You can see Leclerc finished quite a way, like 13 seconds down the road from us. Our teammate was lapped. Alonso finished 10th. I guess that's why he got driver of the day, because he got a point, but you know, he was nearly a lap behind. But given where we were a couple of races ago, we've definitely made a step forward. Although we went backwards on the grid, I think we weren't. I mean, we were in 6th place, but that was never where we were going to qualify.
There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the
If
standings.
Norris hadn't been knocked out in the first lap, I think that he would have had a strong race as well. Those McLarens were very quick around this track.
As we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
So just looking at the rest of the people on the standings there, on the results. You can see that's the driver's standings at the moment. We're in 10th place. Got 15 points now, and Valtteri's still leading. Lewis has moved up a little bit because of that win. So constructor standings, Mercedes from Red Bull from Ferrari. We're in 6th place on 15 points. I just want to say, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for all the new content. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.